I grew up in a small town, the kind where everyone knows everyone, and the biggest scandal of the year was if Old Man Harris forgot to put up his Christmas lights. But there was always one thing that never quite fit, a place that seemed out of step with the rest of the town. A stretch of dense woodland just beyond the highway, where the trees grew too thick and the air always smelled damp, no matter the season. Black Hollow, we called it. No one really talked about it, at least not directly, but we all knew the stories. People went missing, there are too many to be coincidence. Hikers, drifters, even locals who should have known better. Their bodies were never found. Some said the woods swallowed them whole. Others, that something lived inside, something that didn't like to be seen. I never believed in any of it. Not until the night it took my brother. Chapter 1, The Last Transmission. Danny had always been the adventurous one. 2 years older, reckless. The kind of guy who climbed water towers on a dare, or took his dirt bike through old trails at midnight just to say he did. It was a game to him, pushing the limits. But one night, he pushed too far. He had been talking about Black Hollow for weeks. There's something weird out there, he told me one night, excitement flickering in his eyes. I've seen things, man, lights, movement. It's not just trees. I laughed it off. You've been watching too much TV. But he was serious. I swear, Jack, there's something in there. I'm gonna prove it. That was the last real conversation we had. The night he disappeared, I was asleep when my phone rang. His number, the call barely lasted 15 seconds. All I heard was his breathing, frantic, sharp. Then a whisper, "It's real." A loud crack, like a tree snapping in half. And then nothing. The line went dead. By morning, I was in those woods. The search party was too, but they wouldn't go deep. Not where the trees got too close together and the air turned thick. They called his name, but they didn't expect an answer. I went further, past the searchlights, past the markers they set up to keep track of where they'd been. It felt different the deeper I went, like the air itself was pressing in on me. No birds, no insects, just silence. Then I found his bike. It was lying on its side in a clearing, the frame twisted, as if something had picked it up and thrown it. But that wasn't the worst part. The trees around it, they weren't normal. The bark was covered in deep, jagged cuts, too precise for animals, too random for tools. The ground was scattered with things that didn't belong. Old radios, rusted license plates, torn up clothing. And in the dirt carved deep were 3 words. Don't follow me. Chapter 2, The Echoes. I didn't listen. I kept looking for Danny, even after the search was called off. The police said he must have gotten lost, that he fell, that the elements took him. But I knew better. Black Hollow had him. The deeper I went, the stranger things became. The trees seemed to shift when I wasn't looking. I'd leave markers, little rocks, scraps of cloth tied to branches, but when I'd circle back, they'd be gone. One night, I heard something moving. Slow, deliberate footsteps, just beyond the trees. I called out, but no one answered. Then, a whisper. "Jack." My blood turned to ice. I knew that voice. It was Danny. I ran toward it, heart hammering. The trees blurred around me, the darkness swallowing everything except the sound of his voice. Growing fainter, slipping away. Then, suddenly silence. And then, right in front of me, a clearing. A perfect, circular space where the trees stopped, the ground covered in blackened dirt. In the center, something stood. A cabin. Not old, not new, just Wrong. The kind of wrong you can't explain, only feel. The door was slightly open. Inside, darkness. I should have turned back, but I stepped in. Chapter 3. The Hollow. The air inside was thick, almost solid. My flashlight flickered, the beam struggling to cut through the dark. The walls were covered in papers, pinned and nailed at odd angles. Old photographs, newspaper clippings, missing person reports, pages from books I didn't recognize, scrawled over with symbols that made my skin crawl. Then I saw it. A picture of Danny. It was recent. He was wearing the same clothes he had on the night he disappeared. My hands shook as I reached for it. That's when I heard the sound. A slow, deep scraping, like something heavy moving across the wooden floor. I turned, and I saw them. Figures standing in the darkness beyond my light. Tall, thin, featureless. Just outlines, but wrong. Too long, too still. One of them took a step forward. I ran, out of the cabin, into the woods. The trees were different now, twisting, closing in, the path I'd taken gone. But I didn't stop. I ran until my legs burned, until my lungs felt like they would collapse, until I heard his voice again. Jack. But this time, it wasn't a whisper. It was right behind me. I didn't look. I couldn't. I just ran. Chapter 4. The Return. I don't remember getting out. One moment, I was lost in the dark. The next, I was waking up on the side of the road. My hands scraped raw, my clothes covered in dirt. They found me there, hours later. But not Danny, never Danny. It's been years since that night. I never went back. Not because I didn't want to, but because I can't. The woods are different now. Where the entrance used to be, there's just more trees, thicker than before, as if the hollow closed itself off. But sometimes, late at night, I hear the whispers, soft, faint, calling my name. I don't answer, because I know that whatever is speaking isn't my brother.